Can you imagine handing your child over to an orphanage due to a medical emergency and discovering years later that a foreign nun exchanged him for another baby? Tell us in the comments what city you're listening from, because this story that happened in Sichuan, China, will make you question everything you thought you knew about faith and justice. The Sichuan mountains loomed like silent giants as Wang Jian rushed to St. Joseph's Orphanage in Chengdu, his 6-month-old son burning with fever in his arms. It was March 2012, and the earthquake had destroyed the hospital in his village, leaving little Tianyu without the desperately needed heart surgery. "Please," Wang Jian pleaded with the Spanish nun who ran the place, Sister Maria Esperanza. "I just need you to care for him while I get the money to take him to Beijing. I'll be back in 2 weeks, I promise you." The woman in white habits and a stern face took the baby with expert hands. "Leave your documents," she said in broken Mandarin. "We will take good care of Tianyu." Wang Jian was a carpenter. His calloused hands knew every type of wood, but they didn't know the tears he began to shed as he walked away from his son. His wife had died in childbirth, and Tianyu was all he had left in the world. Have you ever had to leave someone you love in the hands of strangers, trusting that they will do the right thing? Share your experience in the comments. For 15 days, Wang Jian worked day and night, selling his tools, his house, everything he owned. He finally gathered enough money for the operation. The cold morning air bit his face as he ran towards the orphanage, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst from his chest. But when he arrived, the nightmare was just beginning. "Your son is no longer here," Sister Maria Esperanza told him coldly, avoiding his gaze. "He was adopted by an American family a week ago. We have the papers signed by you." Wang Jian felt the world collapse. "I never signed anything. I just came to leave him while I got money." The nun pulled out some documents with a signature that was definitely not his. "You signed here, Mr. Wang. Your son now has a better life in the United States." The man clung to the orphanage bars like a caged animal. "Give me back my son. Those papers are fake." Can you imagine the despair of losing your only child due to a bureaucratic misunderstanding? What would you do in Wang Jian's shoes? Leave your answer in the comments. But the story got murkier. Wang Jian refused to accept the official version and began his own investigation. He discovered that other parents in the region had experienced similar situations. Desperate families who had temporarily left their children at St. Joseph's Orphanage, only to discover later that they had been adopted without their actual consent. Chan Ping, a farmer with tired eyes, told him his story over cheap tea in a Chengdu cafe. "I also left my daughter there during the 2011 epidemic. They also told me she had better opportunities abroad. They also showed me papers I never signed." Wang Jian began to understand that he was facing something bigger than a misunderstanding. Sister Maria Esperanza, according to testimonies from former orphanage employees, had developed a system where she charged large sums to foreign families for express adoptions, using forged documents from desperate parents. The dusty streets of Chengdu became his office. Wang Jian spent months talking to lawyers, journalists, and anyone who would listen to his story. He slept on park benches, ate restaurant leftovers, and turned every penny he earned into fuel for his search. Have you ever had to fight against a system that seemed impossible to beat? What gave you the strength to continue? Tell us in the comments. The first breakthrough came in 2018, when an investigative journalist named Lu Wei became interested in his case. For months, Lu dug through government archives, interviewed former orphanage employees, and traced the money that had flowed into bank accounts in Spain. "Wang Jian," Lu told him one rainy afternoon as they reviewed documents in a Beijing coffee shop, "I don't think your son was adopted by Americans. I think Sister Maria Esperanza took him to Spain when she closed the orphanage in 2014. Wang Jian's heart stopped. For years he had imagined Tianyu growing up in an American family, but the reality was different. The nun had suddenly closed the orphanage after Chinese authorities began investigating irregularities, and she had taken 3 children with her, including presumably Tianyu. The search led them to Seville, Spain, where Sister Maria Esperanza had established a new foster home for adopted children from China. But when they tried to contact her, they discovered she had disappeared again, leaving only a false address and empty bank accounts. Do you think justice always comes, even if it takes years? What do you think about international adoptions? Leave your opinion in the comments. It was then that technology became their ally. Lu Wei published the story on social media, and the Chinese community in Spain began to help. An exchange student named Li Hua recognized the description of one of the children, an Asian-looking teenager living with an elderly woman on the outskirts of Granada. The trip to Spain was the longest of Wang Jian's life. Every kilometer that separated him from China brought him closer to the possibility of reuniting with his son, but also to the terror of discovering that it might be too late. Granada smelled of orange blossoms when he finally found the address. It was a white house nestled in the mountains, with a neglected garden and closed windows. When he knocked on the door, his hands trembled like leaves in the wind. The woman who opened the door no longer wore habits. Maria Esperanza, now with gray hair and a wrinkled face, recognized him immediately. "You shouldn't be here," she told him in Spanish, but Wang Jian had learned enough words to make himself understood. "Where is my son?" he asked in broken Spanish. "Where is Tianyu?" Behind the woman appeared a 15-year-old teenager, tall and thin, with the same almond-shaped eyes that Wang Jian saw every morning in the mirror. The boy looked at him with curiosity, not recognizing him, but Wang Jian immediately knew it was his Tianyu. Can you imagine the moment you see your son after 12 years, knowing that he doesn't remember you? How would you react? Share your opinion in the comments. The confrontation that followed was a hurricane of emotions in 3 different languages. Maria Esperanza insisted that she had saved those children from poverty, that she had given them education and opportunities. Tianyu, who was now called Diego, spoke perfect Spanish and seemed confused by the situation. "This man says he is your biological father," Maria Esperanza translated to the boy. "But your true family is here with me." But Wang Jian had kept something all those years. Photographs of Tianyu as a baby, detailed medical records of his heart condition, and a silver chain with the child's name engraved in Chinese characters that he had placed around his neck the day he left him at the orphanage. When Diego saw the chain, his eyes filled with tears. He had kept it all those years without understanding what it meant. "I always knew there was something more," he whispered in Spanish. "I always felt a part of my story was missing." DNA tests confirmed what their hearts already knew. Diego was Tianyu, and Wang Jian was his father. Maria Esperanza, confronted with the evidence and the weight of her actions, finally confessed. She had falsified adoption documents for dozens of children over the years, charging large sums to foreign families and telling herself that she was doing a greater good. "I thought I was giving them better opportunities," she cried as Spanish authorities arrested her. "I thought it was the right thing to do." The reunion between father and son was not instantaneous or perfect. Diego had grown up Spanish. His memories of China were fragmented, and the language barrier made communication difficult at first. But love has its own language. During the weeks they spent together in Granada, Wang Jian showed him photos of his mother, taught him words in Mandarin, and told him stories of his village in the Sichuan mountains. Diego, for his part, began to remember fragments. The taste of the tea his father gave him when he was a baby, the lullaby he sang to him at night, the smell of carpentry wood that he always associated with security. Do you think the love between parents and children can survive years of separation and different cultures? What do you think about this incredible story? Leave your comment from the city where you're listening to us. Today, 3 years after the reunion, Diego divides his time between Spain and China. He has learned Mandarin, met his extended family in Sichuan, and is studying medicine with the dream of helping other children with heart problems like the one he had. Wang Jian moved to Granada to be close to his son, learned Spanish, and opened a small carpentry workshop where he makes furniture that combines Chinese and Spanish techniques. "I didn't lose 12 years with my son," Wang Jian reflects as he works with wood in his workshop. "I gained the certainty that true love can overcome any obstacle, any distance, any lie." Maria Esperanza was convicted of document falsification and child trafficking, but her case helped reform international adoption laws and create better protocols to protect vulnerable families. This story teaches us that persistence can overcome injustice, that paternal love knows no borders, and that sometimes the most difficult decisions are born of the best intentions, but that doesn't make them right. What do you think about this incredible reunion case? Do you think Wang Jian did well in never giving up? Tell us your perspective in the comments and share where in the world you're following us from.